today. As people are coming in, it is 9 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen with you really quickly. Go ahead in the chat and let us know where you're from, who you are, what you do. We'd love to always know who is attending our sessions and to have that conversation. I am Dr. Rhonda Blackburn. I am the past president of TxDLA, but I'm also now CIO of the board, and I get to co-chair this professional development committee with Kelly, which you're going to meet in just 1 minute. I am the senior director of academic service and client success at Strut Learning, and I absolutely love doing these webinars because I get to learn something new every single time I'm here. It is so much fun. You will be meeting Kelly in just a minute, but she is my partner in crime with these professional development webinar series. And I'll let her introduce herself once she gets started with her session. This is the Bite-Size Learning series. If you go to our website, if you haven't been there and you just clicked on a link from social, if you go to TxDLA and go to webinars, you can go to the Bite-Size Learning and see all the different things we have going on. So this week, the reason we're having one every single day, because it's National Distance Learning Week, and we are doing a session every single day from today all the way through Friday. Every day except for Wednesday, it's from 9 to 10, but Friday is our regular webinar series date, and that is going to be from 12 to 1. So today we are going to be engaged with technology. I always love listening to Kelly talk about all the different things she gets to learn about in her job and other things, and so we get to share with that. Tomorrow we're going to learn a little bit about CBE and how can we leverage that to do alternative pathways for learning and training. I want to remind everyone that coming up March 25th through the 28th, and also April 16th through the 17th, we have our TxDLA. It's game on, and we're going to bring it. This is a Zoom meeting, so we are recording. There is a chat, so like you're doing right now on putting information in there, definitely let us know any questions you have or comments or any of that stuff. I will keep an eye on it. I know Kelly will also keep an eye on it as she's going through this, but we ask that you keep yourself on mute just so we don't have any background noise, like I'm sure y'all are hearing my dogs right now. But now we're going to be engaged with technology with Kelli Erwin, and I'm going to turn it over to her. Welcome.
Great. Thank you. Can I get a thumbs up if everybody could see? Perfect. You already knew what I was going to ask, Rhonda. Thank you. Excellent. Excellent. So glad you guys are here to join us today to engage me with technology. I am Dr. Kelli Erwin, as Rhonda said. I am the Director of Education for a company called Learning.com. I've been in the field of education for little over 20 years now, and my focus really has been on K-12 teacher professional development for both pre-service and in-service teachers, and then technology integration in general. I believe that learning can and should be lifelong. The catch is, how do we find the hook that creates the continued kind of curiosity and excitement that drives lifelong learning? I will add that once learners are kind of hooked into the experience, keeping them engaged is the next sort of big piece of this puzzle. In today's session, what I'm going to kind of do along with you all is just kind of explore different ways that we can hook our learners in, and not just hook them in, but keep them engaged once they're in the learning experience. Part of my role at Learning.com is to work with an incredibly creative team, and they design and create learning experiences to engage kindergarten through 12th grade students and prepare them with the skills they need to be successful in a digital world. My personal goal, though, is to make sure that when students leave the K-12 realm and they head off to college or trade school, or they begin their careers, that they have the skills that can support their continued and lifelong learning. To start with, I want us to kind of talk about what digital literacy is, right? Because when we think about engaging our learners by integrating technology into the learning experience, we have to consider what it means to be digitally literate. And I don't just mean students, right? I switched from talking about my K-12 students to talking about learners, because it doesn't matter to me if you're the youngest of young or the oldest of old. If you are engaging in a learning experience, in today's day and age, digital literacy is the thing, right? We have to be digitally literate. So before we dive further into just kind of talking about everything that I wanted to share today, I want to establish a definition for digital literacy, and I hope we can all agree on this. So whether it's in academia or just the world out beyond, we need to be able to use technologies to find, evaluate, create, and communicate information. Right? But I'd like to take the definition here just a little bit further and say that digital literacy really is being able to safely use, understand, communicate, and create with technology, media, and digital resources in real world situations. Because really what we want is whatever environment our learners are in, we are a digital learning society here with TxDLA. It's distance learning week. And so our focus is really about the digital realm, so to speak. And so whether we are in a learning experience or we're just out using technology, right? Whether we're consuming or producing, we need to have certain knowledge and skills to help us be literate with what we're doing. The technology skills that we need in order to consume and produce with technology really do cover just a wide variety of topics. And we need to be prepared to use the skills in the classroom and in the working world. Digital literacy supports learning today and in the future. Even before COVID showed us that we can work and learn in any location as long as we have technology, 80% of jobs in the US required some type of digital skills. Just with this statistic alone, we need to rethink how we prepare students for the workforce and how we enhance the environment for those who already are in the workforce. And if we shift from talking about jobs to talking about how just in general we interact in society, digital skills, or sometimes the lack of, really do impact our students and us, whether it's tied to things like cyberbullying, knowing how to decipher fact from opinion, and so many other things. Even after we talk today about the different ways to engage our learners with technology, I ask that you stop, think, keep in mind the importance of helping our students and anyone around us learn digital literacy skills and the value of learning how to apply those skills in kind of whatever way they are using technology. Our role is to help learners go from sort of that sensory input to long-term memory with as little forgetting along the way as possible. We want to help our learners transfer knowledge and skills to future experiences, but how do we do that? What tools do we have that are going to help us along the way? We've learned some best practices for teaching, for professional development. We're experts in our field, whatever that might be, and we really know our subject areas. Whether it's something that you're teaching in the classroom or it's something that you're preparing people in the workforce based on some type of technical skill or anything, right? We also have technology. And the way we can use all of these together really ties into how we impact learning. So we've talked about the value of digital literacy and how students learn kind of along with the fact that we have technology to help us teach and to help our learners learn. But before we talk about how to actually engage learners in the learning experience, I want to ask you what you actually think a learning experience is. You can respond by using one of the methods at the top of the screen. So you can join through a URL on the web. You can send in a text message, or you can scan the QR code that's up in the upper right-hand corner. So pick whichever option that you're more comfortable using and that fits with the type of device you have. And let me know what you think what does it even mean? What is a learning experience? So again, you can go to the web address, you can send in a text message, or you can scan the QR code. The way that this poll is set up, I'm using a tool called Poll Everywhere. There's lots of tools out that work very similar to this, but this particular one that I set up and activated for this purpose is a word cloud. So as we start seeing responses come in, you'll see them populate on the page, and it's designed in a way where if more than one person uses the same word, the word will begin to get larger on the screen. So right now we have, and it changes as you go. So if you're using this in a session for training, just notice that it's going to change on you. And so if you're going to call out words that are appearing on the screen, they may morph as you're talking. Right now, it looks like social seems to be the one that stands out the most when we think about learning experiences. I see content, course, observation, interaction, modeling. These are all part of what make up learning experience. So while we're going to keep going and talking, feel free to add to this at any time, and then we can come back and visit it at the end if we have enough time. But yes, I still see social. I still see experience. Ooh, I see the word transformational now. That's fun. So these are all things that make up a learning experience. Great. Thanks for participating in that one. When we think about ways that we can engage our learners, we need to think about what it means to actually engage in the learning experience. Engagement really looks at how we keep learners involved and motivated. When we keep learners actively involved, it keeps them sort of in the moment. It keeps them present. From the start of this session, I've used a few different methods to engage you. The thing to remember is that really different methods are going to resonate and engage different people in different ways. So today we began with a bright colored picture of a student sitting on like a beanbag, smiling, had a laptop in their hand. Then we moved to a definition with a graphic that supported what I was trying to say, and that was with a student on a cell phone. I even included some statistics and a diagram at the beginning. And while all of these were on the screen, I talked about information that kind of was supported by the visuals. Finally, just now, we used a technology tool to have you share your thoughts with me. Each one of you will have felt engaged at different levels with each one of these. The things I've used so far are likely probably not new to you at all. You have probably seen, maybe even used them before. Engagement can happen in a variety of ways, whether it's for consuming or producing. The key to engagement really is finding a way to incorporate aspects that engage learners without overwhelming them. The engagement should enhance, not detract from the learning. So as we think about what I've just said and what we've talked about, I'm going to call something out on the screen because I did it for a reason. You see two different images on the screen. One has a picture of a person on a keyboard with all sorts of words around it, sort of a word cloud, similar to what we just looked at. Then the bottom image has a picture that looks like someone's holding a laptop that has kind of maybe a world or the internet and all sorts of images off to the side. For someone like me who gets hooked in by visuals, and I like to really look and see, this slide is very overwhelming for me. It's too much visual and it's too much text. There are people, however, who will be very highly engaged in this slide because they see text on the screen and they're reading it, and I kind of had some text fly in, and then you have the images. I use this slide because someone like me is overwhelmed by looking at this, but someone else is going to be very engaged in this slide. So as you go through the process of trying to figure out how to engage your learners using technology, you have to think about how to keep a balance. How do you find the balance that works? There was a time in education, and people still kind of do it some, where they talked about learning styles, right? Learning styles were the way someone learned. The reality, though, is that we have to activate a lot of different areas in the brain in order to actually learn. So it's not a learning style that really gets us to the point of learning. I do believe the styles listed here have a purpose, though. But I think the purpose in these styles really is to hook the learners into the experience, to grab them and engage them from the beginning. So instead of learning styles, I propose that we look at things like visual, auditory, kinesthetic, reading, writing, music, athletics. There's all sorts of styles out there, but I really propose that we look at these as hooks to get our learners into the experience. And again, like I said, this is not an exhaustive list here. There are all sorts of other styles of things that can hook our learners in. The point here really is that when we can give our students or our learners something that grabs their attention, then we have a better chance at involving them and keeping them in the moment of the learning. All right, so now we're going to dive in and kind of look at some different hooks. So our first slide is looking at how to hook through animation. So the animated GIFs that I've created here just for demonstration really are just for fun, but animated GIFs in general, they really can be used to engage students, whether it's for fun or it's for teaching a specific concept. We don't always have time to create something new, right? So utilize tools that have already been created. Have your learners create animated GIFs to demonstrate learning. It's a great way to give them a choice in how they show what they know. But just remember that using any technology tool really should be evaluated for how it can enhance the teaching and learning, because it's about the why. Why are you using the technology? Sometimes the why really is just about adding fun in the mix to grab the learner's attention. Thinking about animated GIFs, what are some ideas that were sparked for how to use these in whatever your learning experience was? So take a second, jump into the chat and share your thoughts. Let us know what might have been sparked for how to use an animated GIF when you saw this slide or when I first started thinking about it. As we keep going through the session today, feel free to always add your thoughts in the chat or any ideas that may have been sparked along the way. For this dancing bitmoji, I've included a how-to. I did not create the how-to. I learned about it from someone else. I am a firm believer that we are each other's best resources. So I'm sharing what I used to learn how to do this. And the way to do this really was simple. You use Snapchat and a tool to remove video backgrounds, and then you're just kind of off and running in no time to create something fun. There are all sorts of different types of animated GIFs that you can create using the tools that I've shared in the how-to. The bottom left-hand corner, the animated GIF that you see there, I actually made it last year when I was heading to TxDLA conference, and I created it using a tool, again, that kind of removes the background from an image. And then I used the free animated GIF tool in Canva to create this. So also, I want to call out that, like I said a moment ago, sometimes you don't have time to create from scratch, right? And you really just want to go find something that meets the need for what you're doing. So I added information about Jiffy. I don't know how people pronounce it. I say Giphy. It's a search tool that already has a lot of animated GIFs out there created. And you can go search the tool and find things, I don't know, all sorts of things. The one thing I will say about this tool is, depending upon who your audience is, just be aware that you may see some things that may not be appropriate or fit for the purpose of what you're using. If you have learners, let's say, for example, in kindergarten through 12th grade, and you are wanting them to go find animated GIFs, be very cautious with the tools that you select, because things like Giphy, for example, are out there for anyone to use. So just be aware. The next hook I'm going to talk about are games. Games are a great way to engage your learners in the review and assessment process. Look at it as a website that provides you with templates for creating an interactive review or a trivia experience. You pick the question set and the type of game that you want your learners to play. It's going to generate a code, and then you share that out with your learners and the game begins. It's a very simple tool to use. They also have a discovery section where you can look for previously created games on a variety of topics. Oh, and trivia, right? So depending upon how you want to use games, these are often good brain breaks too, depending again on the purpose of the learning. Jeopardy Labs is another one that I'll call out as an online tool. It lets you use a Jeopardy style game, but you can input your own content into the game. Just like I was saying with the other tool with Blooket, there are some previously created games out there that you can use. So you're not always having to start from scratch and create your own games. The creator of Jeopardy Labs also has a few other digital tools that you can access straight from the website. So it's not just Jeopardy style games. Really, as I've said, with any digital tool that you use with your learners, just make sure it actually meets your needs and meets the needs of the learners and is appropriate for the learning environment, right? It's always about the why. Why are we doing this? It's the learning that's the most important thing. We'll switch to artificial intelligence now as a way to hook your learners in. Artificial intelligence really brings with it this unique opportunity to engage learners and provide the instructors with assistance in whatever the learning environment is. Whether it's text or sketch to image, these tools provide a way to visually kind of enhance or demonstrate concepts. I am not artistically inclined in any way, shape, or form. And I have found that artificial intelligence helps me visualize the things that I want to say that I know I could not illustrate on my own. In fact, at the top, you can see my rendering of a butterfly, right? Really basic, simplistic. Again, I'm not artistically inclined, but my outline sketch was enough to help the artificial intelligence tool know what I was trying to do and create a butterfly. Now, I did also share some context around the type of butterfly that I wanted. And so again, the image that was created for me to use was far better than what I would have come up with on my own. Students who are not artists can use these tools to provide visuals they may not be able to do otherwise. So that's one type of artificial intelligence where it ties to images. There's also another one that I want to call out because this is one of my favorites to use, and it's called Parlay Genie. It allows you to provide a topic or a URL into the tool, and it's going to generate discussion questions for you based on your guidelines. Then it's going to let you run the discussion right from within the tool. So it's a way to have conversation and discussions about topics or articles that really open the door for your learners to feel more comfortable to engage in the conversation, perhaps more so than they would in an in-person environment. I could probably do a whole session just on AI and how to use it for engagement. But bottom line, if students are going to responsibly use AI, and by students, I mean any learner, from the youngest of young to the oldest of old, we have to provide them with guidelines about how, when, and why to use AI in the learning and creation process. Aside from being sort of a way to engage our students, I wanted to call this out because it's also a tool that can assist you to create engaging content to supplement or replace what you have. CuraPod is a tool that assists you in creating new content using a variety of different activity types and slides. So you kind of feed it the information that you need, the grade level of the learners, that type of thing. And it's going to provide information to you, and it's going to create an activity or set of activities really, and a slide deck that you could start with, right? It's easy to use and can save you time. Canva for Education is another fantastic tool. They have this magic design tool built within, and it really can help jumpstart your creativity. Again, it's one of those tools that you feed it information, and it's going to try to create your learning materials in a way that's more engaging. I said this a minute ago, and I'll say it again. Regardless of which tools you use, and in this case, it's to assist you in creating content, you have to review what is created and verify the information that is included. Always go back and look at what any AI tool provides to you to make sure that it's relevant, it's accurate, and it actually meets the needs of what you were hoping it would. And then bottom line, follow your campus or company guidelines on how, when, and why use AI for the teaching and learning process. Another great thing to hook your learners in are quizzes and surveys. So whether you use a tool that's built into your learning management system, or you create a form in Google or Microsoft, or you use some web-based tool, there are so many different tools out there that allow you to create, and I'll use the term quiz loosely, right? It's a survey, it's a questionnaire, maybe it is truly a quiz, but there are a lot of different tools out there that will help you engage your learners in showing what they know. So when it comes to web-based tools, two of my favorites are wordwall.net and Poll Everywhere. You all already saw Poll Everywhere. That was the tool that we used earlier to generate the word cloud. The nice thing about wordwall.net is it gives you such a variety of options right there. You don't have to recreate the wheel. You don't have to figure out, oh my goodness, what is this type of thing that I want to use to create quizzes? There are surveys or questionnaires. There are templates already built within wordwall.net where you just simply add in the information that you need. Collaboration and sharing, those are always crucial to any learning experience, right? Whether it's in person or it's in a digital way, we always want to find ways to engage our learners with each other. The QR code here on the left-hand side takes you to a tool called Wakelet. I used Wakelet to create this page that includes all sorts of additional tools that you can use for integrating technology and for engaging your learners. While I used Wakelet to share more resources with you, I encourage you to use it in your teaching and learning environment. It's a great resource for sharing information with your learners, but also a great way to gather and organize information. So if your learners need to create a project or they are trying to do something to share with a whole class, Wakelet is a great tool to use for that. I will also call out Padlet. Again, there are a lot. I don't even know how many different types of resources there are out there that allow for collaboration and sharing. I'm just sharing with you all my favorites. Right? These are things that I use on a regular basis. Padlet is the other one that I'll call out. It is a web-based tool that provides the user with a way to create and collaborate with others. So you can add text, web links or website links to URLs, images, videos. You can add discussions in. So Padlet is another one of those tools that sort of lets you organize your thoughts in different ways, but it also allows others to respond to those thoughts. The example that I have here on the screen, I can't remember how many years ago now, we worked with NEFEC, which is an education organization, or sort of in Texas, we have our education service centers. NEFEC is that same type environment, but in Florida. And so we worked with them, and this was an activity that I did with them. And I just used it as a parking lot so that if they had questions or thoughts throughout the entire day of training, this was sort of the spot they went to add those thoughts so that we could follow up on them later. Okay, that's a lot, right? We've just talked a lot about a whole lot of different ways to engage, tools for engagement. Just kind of take a deep breath. Let's pause for a moment. I want to say that engaging students by integrating technology into the learning experience, it truly can feel a little overwhelming when you think about all of the different ways technology can be used to assist you in this process. We only talked about a handful of tools, and while it's great to know about all these different tools, what's even better really is to understand why and when to use these types of tools. So let's start with the why. At the beginning of the session, I referenced preparing students for success in a digital world. And by students, again, I mean any learner, youngest of young, oldest of old. Anything we do as educators or instructors should prepare these learners for their present and their future. So that's our first why, right? We want to prepare students or learners. Remember I said earlier that we learn best when a variety of areas of the brain are activated? Well, that happens when we engage learners. So think of technology as a tool, really, to hook the learner or open the door to engagement. By using technology, we have a variety of ways to share information, to demonstrate knowledge and skills, and quite frankly, to save time. All of these reasons, and probably a lot more that we could come up with, really are why integrating technology into the learning can engage your learners. The key is finding the balance, right? We mentioned that earlier. Technology should be used to enhance the learning. I've said that a couple of times now, I'm sure. But what that means is that you don't just use technology for the sake of technology. You must be purposeful with when, why, and how you use the technology. So whether you're using it to provide instruction, share resources, or as a way to stay organized in a class, technology can benefit the experience that you provide. It can also give your learners unique ways to show that they've grasped a concept, that they understand what they've been learning. By providing opportunities for learners to use technology to create in a real world, problem-solving type way, we can actually prepare them for their current jobs, how to grow not only through the side of academics, but also through their careers and their jobs. Providing our learners with options to choose from that really can also give them this sense of autonomy. It's not that they have to show what they've learned in a certain way, but that they have options for how to show it. So I know I've stood here and I've told you all about engagement, and there's all these different tools that you can use and that you have along the way. My purpose today really is just to kind of share with you, right? And remind you that we have a lot of tools. And I hope that the ideas of engagement and the tools kind of spark you with some new ideas. There are realities that I'm confident you've thought about during the session, and it probably makes you wonder if integrating technology for engagement is really something that you can do. Is this something I can actually make happen in my teaching and learning environment? I promise it is, but I will say this: technology is not a magic wand. It truly is just a tool. And it's a tool that can assist you and your learners. So as you go through the process of evaluating, how am I going to use this? When am I going to use this? Why am I going to use this? Just remember that, again, technology is a tool, much like the pencil was the tool. The pen was the tool. The paper was the tool, right? These are all tools that help our learners to learn, but also help to keep them engaged in the learning experience. So I'm going to leave you with just a few final thoughts from today's session. Integrating technology, again, it's not about the tool, it's always about the learning experience. So why, when, and how the tool is used, it's really going to be determined by understanding what's going to enhance that particular learning experience. And that's all I have for you today. So thank you for joining us. I see that we've had all sorts of chatter going on. Let me see if there were any questions or just the hellos and information being shared.
It looks like good information being shared.
Okay, excellent. Thank you all for taking the time to add in things that enhance our learning as we are going through this session. So Rhonda, I will pass it back to you.
Okay, thank you. Let me share my screen. I can talk. It's a Monday. Okay, so definitely what to thank Kelli. You said just a couple of tools. Wow, I have to go back and digest all of this that you just presented to us and wrote down all these notes and all of that good stuff. So hopefully everyone had an opportunity to do that as well. But thank you so much for all this information on engage me with technology. Again, I want to remind people that this is a full week of webinars since it is National Distance Learning Week. Tomorrow is Unlocking Opportunities, Leveraging CBE to Empower Alternative Pathways to Learning and Training. That will be again from 9 to 10. What's just happened? My computer decided to be weird. And again, this is our bite-sized learning. We have these every single month, except this week. We have it for a full week. So you go to our website, TxDLA.org, click on webinars, and you'll get to our bite-sized learning. We could not do any of this without our amazing partners. We have our diamond with Anthology, Canvas, and D2L, which I think, at least if I'm not mistaken, one of them just bumped up to another level up there. Our platinum partner, Digital Resources, silver partner, Panopto and Howard Technology Solutions, and our bronze partners, HonorLog, Inside Track, Respondus, Proctorio, Science Interactive, Pronto, and Center for Instructional Innovation and Technology Services at Prairie View A&M. Again, this week is our National Distance Learning Week. Hope you're able to join us every single day. And don't forget about our conference in March and April. We have our in-person in Galveston and then our virtual in April. Call for proposals are open. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, our Thursday webinar is all about how to get engaged with the conference. And actually, our Friday one we just added is all about how to become a leader within TxDLA. So that'll be exciting as well. I would love for you, if you're not a part of TxDLA, to be able to join us. We have community, we have a knowledge base, we love recognitions and being able to lead within education, have influential voices, but we also love to have fun. And so we would love for you to be a part of us. So join. I believe it's only $35 right now. It does go up in a couple of months to $50. So join now. but you can also join us on any social media at, it's weird saying that out. They probably changed their logo by now. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So again, thank you so much for joining us. I hope to see everyone tomorrow. Thank you.